Alright, I'd like to do a quick overview for the Legend of Tian-Ding. I know you guys have been waiting for this for a while. I actually just got the true ending, but the side quest design in this is baffling, to put it nicely. It took me forever to get the ending, and then I was playing the game in portable mode. I didn't think I got it. It turns out I did get it. But then the game loads you into this pointless prologue area, kind of like Premium Adventure in the Yakuza games. But the problem is, to get the true ending, you have to do literally everything in the game, except get all the items. So, now I'm just kind of stuck in this dead world, where there really isn't anything to do. So, unfortunately, I cannot record the true ending. I don't know why they made it so... it takes, like, almost the entire length of playing the game, naturally, to get the ending, and then you can't watch it again, which is... it's baffling how poorly designed it is, but the game itself is really good. Just playing this game from start to finish is really nice. I should just give people a warning. This game is based on a historical figure, an actual person, and the endings are, I can't really say much, but they're historically accurate. The one that is a happy ending is the true ending, and you have to grind a long time to see it, and you're probably wondering why there's only like one video of the true ending. Well, the first part is there's a lot of grinding, and the second part is you can't watch it again. You can talk to this guy. Actually, should not really show this that much because it'll spoil the bosses, but you talk to this guy, you can fight the final boss, but then it cuts out the ending, so you can't watch it again. So let me block this out for a second so you guys don't see the bosses, and I'll go into a regular level and we'll show some of the combat mechanics. This game's got a pretty good short-to-the-point story, so I think it's better to not spoil it. Alright, we're good now. Okay, so let's get into an area with some more room here. So, this game is actually heavily inspired by Guacamelee, to the point where the moveset that you have that requires stamina, they're literally ripped straight from Guacamelee. They have the exact same purposes. It's just that, you know, they're martial arts themed instead of wrestling themed. You know, you've got your 1-inch punch, which is the replacement for the headbutt from Guacamelee. You know, it breaks guards, it knocks enemies away. You've got your up kick, which is like your combo starter, and also kind of serves as a double or triple jump. You've got your side kick, which is pretty much the same as the dashing move in Guacamelee. And then you've got your down kick. So, if you played Guacamelee, I think in terms of controlling the character and understanding the moveset functionality, you'll be right at home here. However, the platforming is a lot easier here. This game in general is pretty easy. Not really too hard to get through. So he has the red sash. The red sash allows him to take the weapons that the enemies have. So that basically means that there are a set amount of enemies and they carry a set amount of weapons, and you can take their weapons and you get a different moveset. But the only thing that really changes is the S string. So before I get into why I didn't get his baton, let's go ahead and get some more fights here. I have like a maxed out character, so everything's gonna die pretty quickly. This also OTG, so if you knock somebody on the ground with this, you can dodge over and do that and get an OTG. The combat system is not super involved. If you're looking for like a combo game, this is not gonna suit your fancy, but if you're looking for, you know, a really cool martial arts game in a setting we don't really see that often in video games, which is colonial Taiwan. I mean, we've played, you know, New York, Angeles, Francisco a billion times in video games. It's nice to have a unique setting. The characters are unique. The presentation is great. Just overall, it's a solid game. It's not like groundbreaking in any way, but it is fun. It's a nice short playthrough. It's not going to take a lot of time. I just recommend, if you're going to go for the true ending, look for the guide on Steam. It is in simplified Chinese, but you can go ahead and translate it. That will tell you everything you need, and also if you want to see it again for posterity, make sure you're recording it. Okay, so you also have these. This is kind of like just dodge, you'll get like a bunshin that comes out and will copy your movements if you just dodge. Now this is where the customization comes into play. You will get these either from stealing from enemies, you'll get them from chests, and you also get them from completing side quests. So at the end game, you'll have a total of 5 slots. And these actually change the way the game is played pretty significantly. The problem is that it does have the same trappings that most Metroidvanias have. Well, there's not really a whole lot to use this on. There is no New Game Plus. There are 2 difficulties. I definitely feel it's better to play the game on normal, and then you can do New Game Plus in the prologue. You can play all the levels again on harder difficulty. That's pretty much the only replay value this has, but there's some really cool stuff in here. Like, you can give yourself a triple jump, you can give yourself more weapon durability, and you give yourself more iframes. You can make your healing items heal more. The most interesting thing you can do, these are rare drops, but you can put one of these on and force every enemy to drop a respective weapon. Like, I think the pistol is pretty bad because it doesn't do any damage. It also does not pierce. The axe is pretty slow. Sometimes you'll get hit because of it. You can't cancel into 1-inch punch off it. It does a lot of damage, but I'm not just saying this out of my bias for martial arts movesets. I do think the martial arts is actually the best because it's the fastest, and you can chain into all the moves pretty easily. So once you get these, you can actually choose which weapon you want. It definitely does feel a little bit frustrating when you play through the game initially and you don't have these talismans, because you'll constantly be switching weapons. You can discard them, kind of like how you can in Streets of Rage 4, where you can just kind of throw them away. But sometimes you just want your default moveset. It does feel a little bit half-baked. These different weapons pretty much only have like 1 S string. Sometimes the aerial attack is different. Other than that, they're pretty much the same. Now, what's really cool about this game, what I think really sets it apart from other Metroidvanias, is that you're not just collecting a bunch of pointless ammo and stuff. These are actually all the collectible progression items in the game, but they give you small buffs that stack, and you have them all on at once. If you played Tales of Arise recently, it actually works very similarly to that, where you have all these passives, and they're always on. There is no capacity system or anything to limit. So you look at this right now. This pamphlet is actually a quest item. It gives 2% dagger attack damage, which is your default weapon when you don't have a weapon stolen from an enemy. So I've gotten that 14 times. That means I'm doing 28% extra damage. You can get more coins from boxes, a total of 100%. So they're not entirely noticeable. I wouldn't call them groundbreaking, but you definitely will notice a difference by the end of the game. If you engage in most of the content, you actually will have a pretty significant power boost. And I think this is a lot better than what a lot of other games like this have to offer. I mean, you look at Metroid Dread, which just came out last month, and people have not played a Metroid game before. A lot of the Switch crowd haven't, because there wasn't a Metroid game for so long. It's been about a decade since Other M, and nobody really played that game either. People are asking, why is all these items in the game when there's nothing to use them on? That's not a stupid question. That's actually a very valid question. Like, what is the point of collecting all these if by the time you get them, there's no game left? You do still have that problem here, yes, but the fact that the items actually do more than just give you ammo, some of these actually make a pretty big difference. Like the ones that give you rare drop. Let's see if I can find that in here. Sorry, there's a lot of items in here. There we go. Enemies rare drop item rate, or rare item drop rate. So I have a total of 40% for that, which means that you can use the amulet pouch. You can also give yourself, where is it? There's one in here that lets you drop rare items more easily. You will have to use this to complete some of the side quests. The side quests are unfortunately the weakest part of this game, in my opinion. They're very obtuse. The UI doesn't really tell you if you've completed a quest or what item you need to complete it. There's nothing that like comes up and tells you that, you know, hey, you completed this quest, you can leave this dungeon now. There's nothing like that in this game at all. I definitely went through this dungeon in particular. Like, it must have been like 4 or 5 times before I actually got the item. There was a number of reasons for that. The first is I wasn't sure which item I needed, and the second was that it was a rare drop from stealing from the enemies, and the drop rates are like Korean MMO bad, so you spend a lot of time just kind of running around. I would recommend just watching the true ending, to be honest. It is the only ending that is not depressing, but at the same time it's not worth it because you can only watch it once, and you kind of get put in this really pointless prologue state where you can't really do anything else in the game. You kind of just wander around aimlessly. There's like one mini game you can do, and you know, pretty much all the NPCs have exhausted all their dialogue. I compared this game pretty heavily to the Guacamelee games. The combat is almost completely identical. The controls as well. Guacamelee 2 had the exact same problem. Very depressing default ending, and they made you go through hell and back to get an ending that was not depressing. And at that point, you just kind of have to consider, like, you know, the game's like 20 bucks. It's not like you bought like a $300 Final Fantasy VII Remake Collector's Edition and you feel like you have to do everything in it. You know, this game's the price of a decent meal, so it just doesn't feel like you really want to do that. And it's kind of a shame. The side content does feel very tacked on. Alright, so let's back out and show a boss. Gotta get to a save point. This game has a surprising amount of polish. It's just once it gets into the side content, the game kind of starts to fall apart, in my opinion. It's just not clear what to do. There's a lot of choices and things that are kind of... You're not sure which one to take. Also, random drops and stuff really suck. I feel like they don't really add anything constructive to the game. Alright, so let me block this out again and I'll show the first boss. I don't want to provide any spoilers because this game's story and overall presentation is very nice. I feel it would be a disservice to spoil it. Alright, we're good now.
Be lucky. Good. Be lucky. Be lucky. Be lucky. Be lucky. Good. Be lucky. Good.
That's how fast you can kill bosses once you're optimized. So that right there is the problem. Normally there's a lot of cutscenes in this game. I saw some reviews saying the cutscenes are excessive. It only took me about 6 hours to finish this game. So that's with watching all the cutscenes. I did not skip anything in this game. For $20, I recommend it. It's a very well-polished game. It's just, unfortunately, like a lot of video games, just in general. I mean, it's how it's always been. The side content kind of falls apart. It's very unpolished. It's very obtuse. I don't even really feel it's worth it. You know, you have to do it to get a happy ending, but at the same time, you can't watch it again, and it's a pretty massive grind. It just suffers from the same thing that a lot of other, you know, post-game side content in games tends to suffer from, where it makes you not like the game that much. Just playing this game to the credits is really nice. You just kind of have to go into it expecting that you're not going to get a happy ending, and if you want to get the happy ending, you're going to have to grind a lot, and a lot of it is very obtuse. It doesn't make sense. For instance, in that first level I was in, one of the characters tells you to get, I believe, to get his wine out of there. Now, I cleaned that place dry. I cleaned it. I got every item in there, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't complete that quest. It turns out that It's a random drop from one of the enemies when you use the red sash, and the game does not tell you that anywhere, and you can go through there multiple times and not get it, which I think is crappy game design. This game flows so well. It's very interesting. It's very engaging. It stayed interesting from beginning to end, but then when you start to get to the side quests, it starts to just fall apart. It really does feel like they added them in like the last couple months of development. Maybe they realized that, people aren't very accepting of short games anymore. They want every game to be a 400-hour grind fest, and I think games like this, or games that are like arcade length that are designed around replayability, still have a lot of value. They're definitely some of the games I've put a lot of time into, but I guess they felt like they had to adapt to the current, climate with how games are developed and how successful they are. It's really a shame. It's really only a single playthrough game. The fact that they drop you in here with the prologue and there's literally nothing to do kind of feels like maybe they ran out of time or money or something, and maybe they'll add on to it later. But overall, I would recommend it. It's worth $20. You can easily finish it in 2-3 sittings and just be done with it. And just watch the ending online. I wish I could provide it for you guys, but for whatever reason, they only let you watch it once. So I'd have to play through the entire game again, and there just really isn't much of a reason to do that, unfortunately. It's a good game to experience, just to support games like this from a country that doesn't put out that many games anymore. It's mostly just IGS that put out the Knights of Valor games and stuff. But I definitely want to see more from this studio. Hopefully, if they do continue the story for this, and they start to do more original stories around this character, even though he's a historical figure, hopefully they'll improve on the side content and add a little bit more replay value. Anyway, hope that helps, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.